In this class, we will discuss the manner of articulation in detail. We will look at these terminologies, and very briefly we will look at what actually happened. So how something happens, that is actually the manner. And place we already know, and when we talk about place, then we are actually talking about the oral cavity, nasal cavity. We are talking about the articulators which are involved. So tip of the tongue touches the alveolar ridge, then the sound is alveolar. Or back of the tongue touches soft palate, then it is velar. Then glottal, you already know what is glottal. So glottal sounds are produced from glottis, and glottis is the space between two vocal folds. We already know that we have two vocal folds, and larynx is also known as the sound source. So why we call larynx a sound source? Because we breathe in, we breathe out, and if larynx is not in function, then there is no voice. But when the vocal folds which are situated in the larynx, when they flutter and they create a sound, so larynx is also the sound source responsible for producing the sound. So that is one thing. And you may cross question, when larynx is the sound source, then what is the relevance of mouth? What is the relevance of tongue? The relevance is they modify the sound. So when you modify the sound, then you have different types of sounds. For example, in English language, we have 44 sounds, including vowels and consonants. And we know that each sound is different from the other. Our ears are tuned to make this difference. So this difference in each sound, major or minor, that is because of the modification done in the mouth or through nasal cavity or other articulators. Otherwise, the sound source is larynx. So we will discuss this manner one by one, and the first manner is stops. Now you should not be confused, because many books they use the term plosive. So stops are also known as plosives. They are one and same thing. We have two different terminologies, but meaning is same. Now what happens in stop? So you have a complete closure. First you have a complete closure and sudden release. Now where this complete closure happens in your mouth. So you have your mouth is closed, complete closed, and then you have sudden release. And which type of sounds are there? So you have bilabial sounds, alveolar sounds, velar sounds, and glottal sounds. So these sounds that you have, they have the same manner. Manner is same, but place is different. So in bilabial, you have two sounds, and p, b, and m. These three sounds are bilabial sound. So p as in span, b as in ban, m as in man. Now, as you can see that on the left hand side you have words, and the right hand side you have sound. So one thing that you need to learn is that always write sounds in slanted bars. These are slanted bars, two slanted bars, and when you write a sound in slanted bar, that means it is sound and it is not a word. So this is an indication, this is a sign that once you write something in a slanted bar, it becomes a sound. You are talking about sound and you are not talking about letters. So when we look at span, we see that there are four letters, S, P, A, N. But here we are focused on per sound, and that's why we have written only per sound in slanted bars. Similarly, ban, the first sound that is also written in slanted bar, that is b. Then in man, the first sound m is written in slanted bars. So to answer this question, how many bilabial stops are there in the English language? Then you will write three: p, b, m. These three are stops or plosives in English language. Alveolar, you have again three alveolars, stun, t, d, and n. T, d, n, they are alveolar sounds. So again, t, d, n, they are alveolar sound, but again the manner is same. Manner is stop. When it comes to velar, k, g, ng. K as in scar, the second sound, g, the first sound, and wing, the last two sound is anga. So these three sounds, they have also the manner stops. Then you have glottal. Now glottal, that is a sound that is produced from glottis. Now glottis is here. Now there are various pronunciation of bottle. Now one pronunciation is very clear, t, as you can see, bottle. Generally we say bottle, t is there. But there are certain dialects, certain varieties of English language where this bottle is pronounced as bottle, 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 like this, bottle. Fine. So here this symbol looks like a mark of interrogation. This is actually the glottal sound, like this, bottle. Fine. The important information here is these 10 sounds, they are stops. And now we come to fricatives. What happened actually in fricative? You have continuous airflow and friction. As I previously described, that you are in the position of pronouncing sound, but you are not pronouncing the sound, but you are releasing the air, and the air quality has friction. For example, like this. So when these sounds are produced, then these sounds are produced with the friction in the air. So what are these sounds? And labiodental sounds. And you know, labiodental means lower lip and upper teeth is involved, like f as in fan and v as in van. So these two are fricative. Then you have interdental, th and the. Most of the Indian speakers, they want to produce th and the interdental, because interdental means that your tip of the tongue is in between upper and lower teeth. But generally they produce as these sounds as dental. That means tip of the tongue is touching the back of the upper teeth, th, the. So there is no much difference when you say thin as dental, or when you say thin as interdental. If you observe very minutely, then you can find a difference. Otherwise, when you say thin, and when you say, let's say, then and then, there is no much difference. But when it is interdental, then obviously the friction is more, because you see me, like I am in the position to produce th and the with interdental, and I am only releasing the air. So this friction is there, and once sound is produced, then this friction is involved in the sound production. So that's why these two sounds are also fricative in manner. Then you have alveolar sounds, as in sun, as in zip. And what happens in alveolar? Your tip of the tongue touches the alveolar region. Alveolar region is just above the back of the upper teeth. Then alveopalatal, sh, 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 and azure. So these two sounds, sh, 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 like. And you have this glottal, h, that is glottal sound that is produced from here. So glottal is actually a place, but manner is fricative. So again, if you count these sounds, you will find that again in fricatives you have these 9 sounds in English. So 9 stops you have, and 9 fricative you have. F, b, th, d, s, z, sh, j, h. And when it comes to stops, pa, ba, ma, ta, da, na, ka, ga, anga, and that is. Now we come to affricate, and we have discussed previously as well that affricates, they have the quality of stop and fricative both. So, and there are only two sounds which are affricate, ch and j. So, but the place of ch and j is alveopalatal. That means in between alveolar ridge and the palatal, ch and j. And these two sounds, they are also known as palato-alveolar. So in certain books you will find alveopalatal and palato-alveolar. So both these regions are somewhat covered in ch and j when you produce these two sounds. Now stridents are also known as sibilant. Now why sibilant? What is the meaning of sibilant? So you have the quality of hissing. These type of sounds are known as sibilant. So when it comes to sa, za, sh, zh, ch, j, then you will find that acoustically they have this hissing quality. You know, like how a snake hisses. So similarly, these sounds, this quality is there. So because of this quality, they are known as sibilant. But what is the meaning of strident? Strident means noiser fricative. Noiser fricative and affricates are called strident. So noiser here means they have more disturbance. Here noise doesn't mean they are highly pitched, but they have more disturbance. That means in the mouth that you have. So these are noiser fricatives like sa as in sun, z as in zip, sh as in ship, azure as in j, church, ch, and j. So you will notice that we have already discussed ch and j as affricates. Fine. We have also discussed like sa, z, sh, j already as under fricatives. Then why we have a second label here? Now second label here because if you count all fricatives, you will find there are 9 fricatives. But out of these 9 fricatives, certain fricatives are noiser and certain are quieter. So for that particular reason, we need to make this different heading like stridents. So how many strident sounds do we have in English? So we have these 6 stridents, means noiser fricatives. Noiser here means more disturbance. And non-stridents, they are quieter fricatives. That means less disturbance, like th and the. So these two interdental, they are non-strident, quieter fricatives. These are informations that you need to remember. You need to learn something by heart. Similarly, as you learned something by heart, like the English letters starting from A, B, C, D, and Z. Now, any one of you may cross question that why I need to remember A, B, C, D like in a sequence, because they are not used in a sequence. They are used, for example, there is a word like bat, then B, A, T. Now it is not a sequence like A, B, C. So similarly, you need to learn certain things initially by heart, and later on these things will be conceptualized. So you will realize these things. So there is a shloka in Bhagavad Gita, and how this shloka goes, it says Jnana Vijnana Tusht Atma Kuthasto Vijitendriyam. So here the phrase Jnana Vijnana Trapt Atma is important, because the motto of university is Vijnanam Brahmam. So you can see in the logo of your university, Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, it is written Vijnanam Brahmam. Now, many of you might think Vijnan means science, but Vijnan is not science here when we say Vijnanam Brahmam. But there are 2 types of knowledge generally we have. Gyan is one type of knowledge, that is acquired knowledge. So already you know how to pronounce these sounds, you know how to spell these sounds. So that is your acquired knowledge. And Vijnana means realized knowledge. So now what you are doing, actually you are realizing these sounds, that okay, how a p is produced and why p is bilabial, because your two lips are involved, and why p is stops, or why f is fricative. So what you are doing, you are not acquiring, but you are realizing that okay, these are the sounds and I have realized these sounds. So that way, Jnana Vijnana Traptatma, like this phrase, very clearly make a difference between acquired knowledge and realized knowledge. Another example I can give, in a cookery book, there is a procedure. There is a procedure how to make a dish. Let's say how to make a cake. Anyone can read it, but do you think that everyone is able to make a delicious cake? No. When that knowledge is realized, then the outcome is the delicious cake. So similarly, there are books that have lots of things, but once you only realize that, then you can apply in your real life situation. So now we proceed further, and now we have another manner that is known as aspiration or voice lag. Fine. Now aspiration. What is aspiration? Once you produce certain English stops, p, t, k, word initially, only word initially. So this word initially is important. So when these three sounds p, t, k, when they come word initially, then extra puff of air on the onset. So onset is a term for syllable, and that we will also see, but you can consider now that when p, t, k, these three sounds are voiceless sounds, and when these sounds are produced word initially, then we have an extra puff of air. And how you will pronounce this? For example, p-a-t. You can also pronounce pat, but when it is aspirated, and if you hear any American or British speaker, they will always say pat. They won't say pat, they will say pat. Similarly, tub, tub, you can say tub, but tub. They will always say tub. They will never say tub. They will say tub, pat. And similarly, cope, you will say cope. I will say cope, but they will always say cope. Now, why this difference? Why we say cope? Why we say tub? Why we say pat? Because in Hindi language, or in Dogri language, or in Kashmiri language, we already have this pa and pha separate sound. For example, pal. Pal means moment, and phal means fruit. So that thing is already there. But in English, we do not have any pha sound, any tha sound, any kha sound. These are only there when these pataka, they comes word initially, then they become pha, tha, kha, likewise. And when they come in the middle, for example, spat, then pa remains pa, ta remains ta, and ka remains ka, like in scope, stub, spat. So this is the crucial difference, that when something is aspirated, only these three sounds in English, pa, ta, ka, becomes pha, tha, kha. This is aspiration, extra puff of air. And like this is the extra puff of air we get. Now unreleased stops. Now what do we mean by unreleased stops? So quite common not to release final final stops. You end with your lips closed. For example, if I need to pronounce cap, so like po is not released, like unreleased, cap, pot, back. So back of the tongue is touching soft palate, back. So that type of is unreleased stops. Unreleased doesn't mean that you are not releasing forever. It's not the case, but for a very mini second, you won't release them. Cap, pot, back. So these three, when these three sounds occur, they come word finally. These sounds, when they come word finally, then they are unreleased stops, and when they come word initially, they are aspirated. So this is one phenomenon that we need to remember, that what is unreleased stop and what is aspirated stops. So sounds are same, but voiceless sounds. These three sounds are voiceless. When they come word initially, they are aspirated. Aspirated means extra puff of air. And unreleased stops, that the final stops are not released for very many seconds. Now the next is liquids. Liquids we have previously discussed. And which sounds are liquids? Variants of la and ra. So you have different variants of la sound. For example, I can say clear la. Very clear, you can hear la sound. But I can make it dark. That means unclear. What is this? Variation. Variation of la. Similarly, you have variations of ra sound. Various type of ra you can produce, and these ra's they come in different places. So variants of la and ra form a special class of consonants known as liquids. What is liquid? Manner and all the varieties of la and ra. Out of these, the variety of la is known as laterals. And why laterals? Because the air passes through the side of the tongue. When you say la, air passes through the side of the tongue, lateral. La as in lake. So it is a clear la, lake. And now the second, you will see here that there is a small circle below this la sound. So this is a devoiced. La is actually a voiced sound, but since pa is a voiceless sound and this la comes near pa or after pa, so it becomes devoiced. So example if is like this. Fine. L, it is clear. It is voiced la, but when it comes with pa, then it becomes devoiced. So you can't feel once you pronounce lake or please that okay, la is voiced and pa is devoiced. But the good thing is to at least remember that which sounds are voiceless. So there are 11 sounds which are voiceless in English: pa, ta, ka, cha, fa, tha, sa, sha, ha. These sounds are there, and this sound. So devoiced means that initially the sound is voiced, but because of the environment it is becoming devoiced. That is the meaning. Then if you look at these words, fall, milk, and steel. So here you will find the Wheelerized la, and more casually known as the dark la. So first thing is, when the la comes in the final position, then it is dark la. What is dark la? L, 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 like this. Fall, fall, fall. So it's a dark la. Quality of la, but it's not clear. And milk, this la is coming with ka sound. And what type of sound is ka? As you can see here, ka sound is velar. Ka sound is velar. That means it is produced from the velum. Back of the tongue touches velum. So that is here, it is velarized. Because it is coming near velar, it is velarized. So this is the symbol. This is the symbol. You can see la, and you have a cross in between. So this is a symbol for dark la. Similarly, you have a symbol for devoiced, a little circle below la sound that you have. Now varieties of ra. Now in Canadian English you will find various varieties of ra. Retroflex ra is very common in Hindi, in Dogri. For example, ra as in rath, fine. But ra, Padhna. R is also a variety. R is normal variety. Padhna, padhna, and pada, padha. Those varieties are there. So this R is the retroflex variety. And what happens in the retroflex? Your tip of the tongue is little bent. Retroflex. R. So in Canadian English, we find this retroflex, ride. So in place of ride, ride. So there is a possibility ride. They will say not ride, but ride. Again, the certain dialects, not every Canadian is speaking like this, because half of the Canadian population, they speak French, and some speak Spanish. So like, now lots of Punjabi people are there. So you can consider like in next 20 or 20, next 10 or 20 years, half of the Canadian people will speak Punjabi language. So this ra is that, right, car. So little IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, like Roman alphabet we use when we write this letter A to Z. IPA is all these sound symbols, they are in IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. So this retroflex is written in IPA like this, this inverse R sound, inverse R sound. Fine. So what are the varieties? North American, in North America, R is a flap. Like bidder, 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 butter. In place of saying butter, they will say butter, butter, bidder, bidder, butter. Likewise. So these are liquids, and we have been discussing the manner of articulation, and I stop here. And if you have any doubt or question, then you can raise your questions in the chat box as well.